Our histogram in the previous section demonstrated graphing data for a single team. But how did AFC Wimbledon do against the other teams in the league? How would one go about visualizing the change in standings over the course of a season? How about we plot each team's overall league points with a line graph over time to create a visual standings page? We'll start with our usual HTML and controller pages. This time, though, we're going to use a JSON file for dates containing an array of matches, similar to a data feed one would get for fantasy sports or booking sites. Unfortunately, that's not the data format we need to produce our graph, so we'll need to transform this data into a set of bins containing the cumulative win-loss record for each team, something we'll need to draw our lines with later. This kind of data transform is something you'll be faced with a great deal, so let's just focus on the data transformation tools D3 provides you with for now. First, let's open up the standings.js file under section 4's directory. This should look familiar. We declare our global variables at the top, including initializing our SVG drawing area. Our standard reload function initializes an empty array of data and passes it to redraw, which does nothing yet. Now let's read in some data. Loading a JSON data file is the same as loading a CSV or TSV data file. Just specify the file name and do something with the results in the callback function. In this case, let's just output the result to the console log. Save that and reload. In the inspector, you can now see that the data is an array of maps, each map containing a date and an array of games played on that date. As mentioned before, this is the kind of data one gets from a data provider for fantasy sports or sports booking. That's the data we have. Now we need to convert this data to be an array of teams, each with an array of games played. Let's do this step by step. The first step is to flatten the data. That means that we're going to need to put the date into each game's map, then create a merged array of all the game's maps. Working inside out, we use D3's extended map object on the results. Then for each game, for each given date, we insert the date. The array of games is then returned and passed on to the outer D3 merge function. D3's merge function takes an array of arrays and merges them all into a single array. We'll place that array into the variable data. Let's then log the data to the console, save, and reload. Looking at the console output, there is a single array of maps, 554 of them. That's all of our matches for the 2013-2014 season. The next thing we want to do is gather all games for a given team into an array for that team. The D3 nest function is ideal for this, creating a hierarchical tree structure, grouping by the specified key for which we'll use the merged nests of the home team and away team names. Next, we build a D3 map key-value pair for each team. Stepping through each item in the merged array, which has each team home and away, we either add a new team with its games if the team is not yet in the data map, or we merge the values already there with the new games if the team already exists. When merging, the results of the merge get sorted into chronological order. After logging this new data map, save and reload the page. Opening up some of the logged data items, we can see that both away and home games are accounted for under any given team. Now comes the tricky part. We need to determine the outcome of each game and calculate the running league standings points. Let's write a function for that. We'll call the function gameOutcome and have it take a team name, the game to convert, and all of the previously converted outcome games. First, we determine if the team is away or not. From that, we can get the number of goals scored and allowed, as well as the decision. Based on the decision, 3 points are allotted for a win, 1 point for a draw, none for a loss. Then we just return a map with the date, team, alignment, etc. The league points are accumulated from all of the previous games plus the current game's points. Next, we return to our data conversion coding and go through each item in the data map. We'll create a new array of games. Then, iterate through the old game values, pushing the game outcome into the game's array. Finally, we replace the old array of games with the transformed array. Let's save that and reload the page. Looking at the console, we can see that the 24 teams are in the array, each mapped to an array of games. Expanding AFC Wimbledon, we can see that there are 46 games. The first one resulting in a tie for 1 point. The second one was a win. Yay! And the team's running league point total has increased to 4. The data structure that we've created looks sound. We can delete the console log line, or comment it out, pass the data map to redraw, and continue. So what have we learned so far? First, we learned that reading in a JSON file works the same as a comma or tab separated data file. Then, using D3's merge, map, and nest functions, we gathered the data that was read in and rearranged it to fit our needs. Specifically, we took data that was grouped by date and created a new data set grouped by team. Finally, we wrote a function that would accumulate a total number of points over the course of the season for each grouped team. Now that our data is in a format that we can use, let's implement drawing the graph next.